with integrated, pathways is a big thing.
It is literally how your brain intakes and processes information. And for our students, we're finding that just the sit and get that is a traditional teaching approach does not work.
Welcome to the School Climate and Culture Show. Hosted by Steve, a passionate advocate of positive school climate and culture, together with Meg and Didi. Join us as we explore strategies, share success stories, and provide actionable tips to improve the culture and climate in your school.
Hey gang, hey everybody. Once again, we're back for the School Climate and Culture Show. My name's Steve Bowler, and I'm with...
And I'm Meg Didi.
There you go. And for those of you that are watching us, you notice there's a third head in the two boxes.
Yes.
Meg, I'm going to leave this to you. Introduce. Who do you got?
Oh my gosh. I have with me my better half, if you will. Kara Rigsby is joining us today.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, she's the other side of integrated. So we are the dynamic duo in education, and she gets to sit with me today.
Yeah.
Feeling
Yeah. Now, here's the crazy thing, gang. Now, you don't know this, but I'm going to pull back the curtain and let you guys understand. Just yesterday, we were together. We were all three of us. We were all together at the Innovative Schools Summit, Chicago. Our goal was to do this recording live with the three of us all together, but time just didn't allow for that.
Oh. And if you notice, we're still here. We're still sitting with the city buildings and ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're still in Chicago. I went home. My daughter Aubrey was with me, and I had been on the road pretty solid for over 10 days, and I wanted to go home. So I went home. So that's what it is. But we knew that it's important to do this. So we're doing the recording exactly the next day, which we're really excited about. Yeah, here we go. Let's get this going. We're excited about all this. So the title is Staying on the Path. That's the title of this session of the School Climate and Culture Show, Staying on the Path. Now, the reason why I say path is because with integrated, pathways is a big thing. So I'm going to close my mouth, which is odd, and I'm going to let you two kind of explain that. So first of all, Kara, welcome. And can you kind of dive in first as to what are we talking about? Pathways. What's all that about?
Yeah, absolutely. So with integrated, a huge piece that we train on and speak on is learning pathways. And like you said, what is it? What is that all about? So first of all, it is literally how your brain intakes and processes information. And for our students, we're finding that just the sit and get that is a traditional teaching approach does not work. Well, I should say it works for some, but not all. And we are in the age of education right now where we need to make sure that we are reaching all of our students. And so that's where the learning pathways comes into play. We have found that there are 7 different learning pathways that can be implemented in our instruction. And so that is kind of a little bit about what learning pathways are.
Yeah, so these 7 learning pathways, some of those are visual arts, movement, music, hands-on, technology, all those different ways that we can access information. And, we're thinking about all of the schools that we go around to and all the educators we talk to. The thing that we're hearing the most are our students are not engaged. We can't keep them engaged. Our behaviors are going up. And we're over here thinking, let's do some pathways, because if you're giving information to your students in a way that makes more sense to them, whether it's movement or music or visual arts, they're able to access that information a different way, allowing it to go into their long-term memory. So it's just creating this space for them that just makes more sense than maybe a traditional, just an auditory approach.
We talked a lot about with educators just this last weekend is, our kids are continuing to grow and change and evolve, and we have to be willing to do that with them as well. And so the way that we give instruction, the how we give the instruction, it has to be evolving and changing with our students. And we have found that with implementing pathways, it is a key into the student success down the road.
Okay, so think about it this way, Steve.
Okay.
If you are a learner, a pathway that maybe you gravitate towards, are you visual arts, movement, music? How do you learn information best?
Being that I'm a former art teacher and artist, I love visual things that I can see. And then secondly, things that I can hear. I like to put the visual that I see connected to what I hear to help me learn better.
Yeah, so that's a big part. Knowing yourself as how you are a learner is a big part in how you're going to teach your students. And what's really great is I'm glad you brought up that you have more than one pathway, which is exactly what we want our educators to know, is it's not one way to give information. So once you find yourself about how you are processing that information, then we want you to think about how are your educators educating those students, how are your students receiving that information? So you're doing these multiple pathways in the beginning of the year, and you're watching your students, you're building that climate and that culture, you're understanding how they are as a learner, and then you start implementing those in, taking yourself into consideration and your students. So what comes down to it is natural differentiation. You're differentiating your instruction for all the students in your classroom, and you're not laminating and cutting and stations and rotations and taking your weekend to try to prepare for all these different learners. It's just a natural approach.
Wow, hold on. Okay, we got a lot here. Woo!
We're very passionate about this topic.
You are. This is like, you guys are flowing. You know how it is in the podcast world, Meg. You got somebody that's on your as a guest or whatever, and you guys really aren't guests. You just got, we're all kind of work in the same space, but they have a hard time explaining or understanding what they do. And you guys just went on a flow. Great. This is awesome. So here, let's get a mental pause for all our listeners so they can kind of take some second to process what was said. The one thing that really resonated with me is, as an educator, as a teacher, understanding your pathway and how it is that you learn. Now, me, I know straight out the bat, I am a visual learner, but I love auditory because I'm able to connect those two together. A lot of people that I've found, they just grab something and say, oh yeah, that's me, I'm a visual learner, because you like to look at stuff. No, I'm sure there's a process of really understanding how it is that you learn. So my question is how do teachers find that out? How do they find out their pathway? What works best for them first?
It's by doing and paying attention how you are understanding information. For me, I would love to want to listen to podcasts, but I can't, the auditory piece is a little bit harder for me. So it's not my pathway, although I can do it and I will listen. It's just not my strongest suit. So, we highly encourage our educators to try out the different 7 pathways and what are you really gravitating towards, and what does it make you feel like when you're learning new information?
Absolutely. For me, I gravitate towards the music pathway. Music plays a big part in my life personally, and it's a strong pathway for me. And so I try to bring that in as much as I can for my students, but I also have to realize that not everyone has that strong of a connection to that musical pathway.
Every time we're together, you are singing, there's music, and it's always a musical.
Hey, life is a musical, and if anyone ever says that it's not, they're just lying to you, because it absolutely is. Absolutely is.
Well, then now you kind of sparked something in my head now, because let's say that a teacher is movement. All right. They love to move. They love to dance. And is it possible for them to go overboard on what makes them comfortable? Because that's what makes me think, is like, they feel most comfortable with movement, but after checking out all their kids, the kids are just really into tech or visual. How can they fix this, or is it broken?
Oh gosh, no. Honestly, so your students are you need to expose them to all 7 pathways. We want to give them all of those to try them out, and there's going to be some that don't fit as well as others. That doesn't mean it's not going to work and it's not going to be somewhat effective. Just others are going to be more strong than others. And so as a teacher, that's why we're so amazing in education, is we can take something and craft it, mold it, change it the way that suits our students for our specific year that we're in. Because how we're instructing our students this year is not how we should instruct our class next year. That's a whole new group of kids. So we're ever evolving in that.
Are you taking anecdotal notes to keep a track to figure these things out? Or is it something that teachers just naturally do to kind of see where they all are a little bit with that?
Yeah, we embed a lot of these learning pathways into experiences in the classroom. And so when we are having our kids involved in these, we are literally observing and just making these notes of, they really struggled with the technology piece of this, or they really struggled with just understanding the movement aspects of this. That's not their strongest pathway. But like Meg said, with these experiences and with the continued exposure to the different pathways, some of them, they get better and they actually discover that, hey, I actually really like learning by this pathway, and so it really just comes down to giving it a try. It really comes down to implementation of these pathways just to see how your students respond. We say, like you had mentioned earlier, can they go overboard with a certain pathway? We tell educators, start with your own because it feels a little bit safer. It's not maybe quite as scary or overwhelming, but don't just stay there. Make sure that you are going through the rest of the pathways, because then you're ensuring you're reaching all those other students in your class.
I don't think you can ever have too much glitter.
Oh, I think the
Is one of the pathways glitter? Is that what it is? It's all these different pathways, and then the extra one is glitter. Oh,
yeah, that's the 8th pathway.
That's the 8th pathway.
Visual arts of glitter. Yes.
All right. Let's do a mental break for everybody here. Can you list out each of the different pathways so that way you can have a clear understanding of which ones they are, and then maybe our listeners or people who are watching can kind of say, hey, maybe I can gravitate to one or the other. So what are they?
Yeah. Absolutely. And we'll also provide you a visual with this. We have a wonderful visual that can show you all these pathways.
Okay, we'll put that in the resources, definitely.
Yeah. So there's technology,
auditory,
visual arts, hands-on,
music,
movement. Now we don't know. We just started saying them, Steve.
There you go.
Nervous.
Yeah, now we're like, wait, what are they? Yeah, I think we did that. Was that 7? Technology, hands-on, auditory, visual arts, storytelling.
There you go. All right. Got them all in there. That's wonderful. Excellent. Now, here's the thing that I'm sure some educators are concerned about, specifically at the teacher's level. And please clarify for me if I'm wrong, because most of my career was at the administrative level. Is this extra work? Is this more work to do? Because that's the first turnoff that I've found for any educator, teacher. If this is more work to do, I'm out.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the beauty of pathways. And that's exactly why it's working so well, is because it is not an extra thing. It's not something new. It's what you implement to make things feel less. In education, we do not have time to add another thing or another piece of something. This literally brings it all together. It's making your classroom community tighter. It's implementing those communication skills with that. It just, the content that you're teaching, when you teach it more in a fun and inviting way for yourself and your students, your engagement's going up, your behaviors are going down. It just encompasses so much that it doesn't feel like a new thing. It's just looking at what you already have in a different way.
Yeah, like Meg said, it's truly taking what you already have, whatever resources that you have or whatever resources you need to have, and you are looking at it, taking out what's needed, but how can I instruct it with these learning pathways in mind, so that way my students are able to access the information and then gain growth and success from that.
Yeah,
that sounds wonderful. I think what you're saying is really helping educators who hear this to kind of come down a little bit, like, okay, this isn't so bad. This is going to actually help make things better. It'll be a better understanding. So let's talk about outcomes. All right. Number one, how long have you, two of you, been doing this? And then what are the outcomes that you're directly seeing, like from day to day, as well as what some administrators are concerned with, test scores, outcomes, those kind of outcomes? What is it that you're seeing?
Absolutely. Well, when we always get asked that question, like how long you've been doing it, every time I say it, makes it like, it feels like we're getting old. But we have been doing these pathways and experiences in our classrooms for
it's been 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah,
8 years
we started
now.
this work.
So we spent some time working on it and making sure that what we're sharing with educators is valid and true to what we're saying. And what we have been seeing with implementing these pathways is what Meg was explaining earlier. The student engagement is increasing because when they're able to access the information, students want to learn.
Mhm.
The students want to be able to learn the information. Sometimes it's just how the information is presented, and that's where behaviors and the disengagement is happening. And so with implementing these pathways and experiences, we have seen increased engagement and therefore decreased behaviors.
Yeah. And honestly, when you're talking about the data points, I absolutely love data, and I'm the first one to look into all of that. And personally, our test scores, state and district level, have grown tremendously. We are very proud of what that looks like in our classrooms, and we can show that the growth is happening with that data.
Absolutely.
So actually, Steve, we have a question for you.
Okay.
Our question is, knowing a little bit about pathways and kind of what they do for students and for educators, on the admin's point of view, what are your thoughts on this? Would this be something that you think would be beneficial for principals and your educators to have in their buildings?
Well, first of all, that's a phenomenal question. Yeah, the answer is yes.
Thank you.
Although I will put in a caveat of that, the nervousness of administrators, okay? Administrators, they're held to a certain level of accountability, obviously, from their district, from the state, from the community. And a lot of administrators see themselves as the sole proprietor, the sole person who's responsible for that, even though they know that it is a group effort, even though that they know that they need to work with their staff, work with their communities, work with the district, they still feel that. And so there's a certain level of safety of doing the same thing. But in the same token, I can guarantee any administrator, the best ones to the worst ones, knows that doing the same thing is not going to get you the same outcomes. They know that, but they may not necessarily know what it is yet. So if you can kind of come in and share with administrators, look, identifying these individual pathways, this is not pie in the sky kind of things where it's just like, oh, we're going to do something fun that makes the kids feel good because they love music, or we're not going to just do something fun with tech because we have it, but actually really learn how to implement it into the instructional strategies and get great outcomes. I would think they would embrace that wholeheartedly. They just have to get over the fear of knowing that the normal way of doing things and just saying it louder and saying it more frequently is not going to make it any better. Because I think that's what's happening a lot in professional development and instruction is they keep going back to these instructional strategies based on the standards, and we're going to say it even more. We're going to say it louder. How come we're not getting any more out of this? Well, just saying it louder and saying it over and over again is not going to make it. Now, granted, I'm sure you know it. I've always said repetition is king. You got to repeat, 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 repeat. But if you're repeating something that's not getting any outcomes to begin with, you're not getting anything. So that's my thoughts.
What if you repeat it in a different way? What if what you're doing is purposeful? Because you're right. We don't need to just keep doing things to do the things to teach the standards.
Right.
We are all about purposeful instructional strategies. Some of the times you're going to need them on your shelf because those kids don't need it. And some of the times you're going to need to pull them off and use those ones for those kids. So you're absolutely right. This does look different. But the side part of that is it's purposeful instruction. And when you instruct purposefully, your content is delivered in a way where your students are going to remember it, not memorize it.
My question, I know, Kara, you got something, but I got something that's popping in my head from an administrative standpoint. From an administrative standpoint, is everything pathways? Do you never teach traditionally at all? Is it a blend? Is it all one way? Help us understand that.
But in pathways, there's an auditory pathway. So if you think of a quote unquote traditional approach, you are still having the same traditional ways that you're teaching, but it's not always one way. You're implementing different ways of teaching your students.
Absolutely. A lot of people have heard the saying of a strong tier 1 instruction is the best intervention. And if you have 300 kids in tier 2, tier 3 intervention, that's not the issue. Your issue is your core instruction, your tier 1 instruction. So why not start at the core instruction and use pathways as a guide of what instructional strategy should be being used in the classroom in order to strengthen that content so kids can access it on the first time rather than the 5th, 6th, 7th time of having to reteach.
There you go. Makes so much sense. All right. Next question I have is, with these different pathways, there's a sense of creativity that's necessary, I feel. All right. You have to think somewhat creatively in order to implement some of these pathways. There's some teachers that they're not creative by any sense of the, they tell me what to do. This is it, and that's what I do. And that's the reason why they keep getting the same thing that they're always getting. How can teachers who may not necessarily have that creative sense still be able to work within these pathways to develop these ideas and ways to instruct a little better? And I'm not telling them to be masters at it, but at least a little better. Help me understand that.
I think there's a few ways that they can go at that. They can look at themselves and really figure out how they learn best and go with those
You mentioned that.
pathways.
Yeah, that's
You
good.
can do that. You can obviously use your required curriculum and look at one piece in that. How can you elevate that one piece with a different pathway? You know, the piece that maybe they're struggling with, their students are having a hard time with, what can you do differently with that one? You know, we have great resources at our fingertips. We have on our website a wonderful you can get 20 free experience pathways ideas. Just head on over there, put your email in, and they're yours. A great thing with that is there's 20 ideas that you can take and use and create your own ideas from, because we're educators. That's what we do. And then, of course, your teams. You have to use teams in order to kind of have that creative piece. Kara and I sit together all the time with our team members and think, okay, this is what we have. How can we take it next? What are your thoughts on that? Because 9 times out of 10, you and your teammates don't have the exact same pathways. And so they're able to think about it in a different way.
There you go. Boom. You guys just dropped the mic on that question. That was awesome. All right, I got another one. Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
The two of you teach 3rd grade. Yes? Yes. We got some listeners who are middle school and high school. Does this work there as well?
Great question, Steve. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. No,
and that's it. That's all we need to say. Okay.
Well, tell me more. Tell us more.
Okay. A high school student is a kindergarten student. They're just in a bigger body and they smell worse. You know what I mean? You still need to implement different fun and engaging ways for your high school students. I have a high schooler right now. He's 15. He comes home one day. He's sitting at the table. He's in a moment. And I'm like, what is going on? He's like, school is just so boring. We do the same thing all the time in every single class. And my mom brain is thinking, put in some pathways, you know, let's make this exciting. So you don't have to go over the top and add glitter, but, you know, bring out the Play-Doh or something, you know, move their bodies, come up with a creative a way to teach biology. I don't know, but yes, absolutely. This is in all education. It can happen.
Pathways are truly for any age, any subject area. It doesn't have to be just elementary, because you, like Meg said, middle school, high school students, they still need different ways to access information. The auditory, the traditional sit and get is not always what is best for some of those kids. And so we need to be reaching out, no matter their age. We need to be reaching out to them with different pathways in order for them to be successful.
Our sessions just this week, we had adults playing with Play-Doh and markers and newspaper. I mean, that's what we're about. When you come to our sessions, it's an experience. It's a pathway for you, help you understand what we're trying to teach you.
Yeah. And it's great, because I'm sure that when you go to your sessions, or you go into a school and you're showing these teachers this and you're getting them directly involved, you can kind of see the light bulb click off, like, oh, this isn't just playtime. This isn't just, you connect it directly to a standard, you could directly to your data, directly to what it needs to be. Because from my understanding, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that you both are data junkies. You're looking at the specific needs of individual students that you have based off of the data. And sometimes some pathways for some kids might be different than another pathway for another kid for the same subject. Yeah?
Yes.
Boom. There you go. I'm loving this. This is good stuff. All right. Whew. Why am I out of breath? We're going to
got you all hyped up.
This is, we got all hyped up over this stuff, because it's good stuff. It's great. It's great. One of the things I always say, you know, I speak on culture, climate, leadership development, idea development. I'm not an instructional strategist and things like that, but that's what your specialty is.
Yes.
Finding ways to provide that instruction, looking at data, making it real in some way for educators and teachers, so that they can really move to the next level. That's what I love to have happen. I love to see that. All right. Now I'm going to end with something that should have probably been at the beginning. How did you guys start this? How did this come about? How, you know, all of a sudden you guys are at the national level, national stage, showcasing to educators everywhere, you know, just by happenstance, you guys came together? What's going on here?
I mean, kind of. It
Yeah.
kind of was a happenstance. You know, we met at our building. We met at our building. You can head on over and watch some of our latest podcasts to hear that whole story. But we met and we were frustrated in the classroom. Things were not working. And so we just started to do it differently. And then we shared it out a couple times, and it was really powerful. And then we were hooked. We wanted to impact educators the way we were feeling impacted. And then honestly, Steve, we met you. That's in Vegas. That's how that happened. And
at a conference, everybody. At a conference. We met at Vegas at a conference. I'm clarifying that. You say you met somebody in Vegas. That's, you know, okay.
Right. It's an educational conference in Vegas. You were keynoting. We were speaking in a breakout session, and we were hooked immediately. How do we do that like that so that what we have to offer can be impacted the way that you were delivering your keynote and your message? So with that, then we just kind of, we didn't let you go. And yeah, and so
you became a part of Within Our Ranks. You did the whole training Within Our Ranks, and then here you are.
Here we are.
And here we are. And now we feel so blessed to be recording this podcast in Chicago. You know, we get to go back to our classrooms on Tuesday and teach our babies at home. And then we still get to impact other educators so that they can teach their babies in their classrooms. So I feel like we're just definitely in that space of just, I don't even know what word that would be.
Yeah, you guys are rolling. You're making things happen, and the cool thing, you're real educators. You know that's again, this is a wonderful thing. I'm going to do a plug for Within Our Ranks. That's the great thing about Within Our Ranks, because it's people within our ranks who are real educators, who have the knowledge, who have the experience, who are going to go to the next level and help other educators become better. There's a lot of great stuff going on out there. And I always say that the two of you broke the code. Like, you figured it out. You know, everybody's wondering, how does this really work? You two have figured it out, not only in theory, but in practice. So that's really great. Tell us a little bit about your cohort. I know you guys have a cohort because, you know, you're in Wyoming. You're not always able to get directly to a lot of teachers, or they might be able to get to you. So tell us a little bit about this cohort. What's that about?
Yeah, so we have an integrated cohort. It's a virtual community of educators all around the nation. You can sign up individually with your team, with a school, or we have district options. Basically what it is you get to hop on with us once a month virtually, and we help you understand pathways, experiences, build units, teach content. You know, there's so much power in having a group of educators together. And that's what this is. It's a community of educators working together to solve those tricky things in the classroom, those ideas that you have, you're not sure how to get to the next step, all while us holding your hand and helping you through all of those things. We kind of like to say in our cohort that you have us in your back pocket. You know, you have access to us. We do one-on-one coaching calls. We do have some participants that will join our cohort and then want their team to listen in. And so we'll have one-on-one team meetings with them, talking about cohesive teams and building units. It's just really a great platform and a way to bring everybody together and do this wonderful work. To learn more about that, if you need more information, you got to go over to our website, integratedk12.com, click on the integrated cohort. All the information is there. And if you're ready to sign up, there's a link for that too. We start our next one in January. Our next cohort starting January.
Good information to know is our cohorts run by semesters. So
yep, 2 a year.
Lined up very well.
Yeah.
Perfect. Way to go, ladies. This is perfect. I think this is wonderful, amazing information. On top of the cohort, you also do go to schools, right, as well, to provide professional development. You also do long-term consulting in the schools where you're working with them all year long. Man, I mean, this is wonderful.
Well, and you know, honestly, Steve, we have a very customizable bundle that we individualize for each district or school. So there's a lot of different options based on where you're at on our timeline, what you need. We just meet schools and districts where they're at.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks
Excellent.
for letting me bring Kara on today.
Yeah, that's it. Bringing Kara, because we've been talking about this for a while. Like, we got to do one about integrated, bring Kara in, chit chat it up a little bit so that everybody has an understanding of exactly, where you are. I mean, you're a big part of the School Climate and Culture show, and, we always allude to what it is that you're doing. And then we say, and Kara, this mystical person, like you're a unicorn. That's it.
I'm real. I'm here.
You're real. You're here. That's it. Perfect. Well, hey, for the latter part of this podcast, and I know we're going a little bit long, but Meg, we have to talk a little bit about Within Our Ranks Summit that just wrapped up. Just finished it in San Antonio, Texas. Give me some words. What are your thoughts about that experience that we had?
Oh, well, okay. I say this every time, every retreat that we do, I get so pumped for the Friday to Sunday transformation. And every group of educators are exactly the people that need to be there for that cohort. They're all unique. I think, the transformation that happens for individual speakers that want to become speakers, everybody left there empowered, ready to start the next thing. In fact, Saturday night, none of them went out. They all stayed in their rooms and they were working and they were getting things done. They were so on fire. Oh, it was wonderful. We have some really great people that are going to be hitting that educational speaking space, I think, very soon.
Yeah, we had some great people. We had superintendents there. We had principals. We had directors. We had State Department of Ed type people there. I mean, it was a nice cross section of people, and we're excited about that. That was great.
Yeah, and they got professional photos. We kind of did that right before the rainstorm in San Antonio, so that was exciting. Yeah, and just the community that gets built through the weekend is absolutely phenomenal. They're still chatting it up on the WhatsApp.
Yeah, we're still chatting it up. And our next one is at the end of January, and somebody's joining us.
Yes, I'm so Kara's coming. I get to bring her along to Atlanta. We're going to Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah,
that weekend is January 31st, February 1st, February 2nd.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting. So again, as always, I will be there. Meg will be there as a coach. Kara's going to be there coaching. So I'm telling you, gang, this is what it needs to be. We just at Chicago Innovative School Summit, we signed up like 3 people right on the spot there. We only take 15. So I'm telling you, y'all, go to withinourranks.com, check it out, set up a discovery call to find out if it's right for you, and then let's get you in this. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, ladies, thank you so much. We already talked about how to get a hold of you at the integratedk12.com and be about it.
We're all over social media, so make sure you follow us on all of those platforms, the Integrated K-12, Integrated EDU.
There you go. All right. Thanks again. Thanks so much. Have a good one, gang.
See you later, guys.